Good afternoon, dear viewer. It's good to have your company this lovely Friday. We're coming to you live from Broadcast House Nile Avenue, both online and on air. Today, the 21st of April, 2023. Happy to be here and, of course, to serve you this very special day, especially for our Muslim brethren out there. Congratulations throughout the fasting season. It's really a great journey for you to go through this warm period, and I'll be bringing you those highlights as our first update for this particular newscast. My name is Sandra Kahunde. Now, straight into the details. Well, today, Muslims in Uganda joined millions around the world to celebrate Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. The faithful gathered at the Old Kampala National Mosque to offer prayers and celebrate their loved ones. The Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Ramadan Mubaje, led the prayers and urged the Muslims to continue living in harmony with their non-Muslim brothers and sisters. However, his remarks took a political turn when he appealed to President Yoweri Museveni to expedite the process of passing the anti-homosexuality bill.
Thousands of Muslims thronged different mosques across the country to celebrate Eid al-Fitr to mark the end of Ramadan. At Old Kampala National Mosque, Eid prayers were led by His Eminence the Mufti of Uganda, Dr. Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje. During his sermon, Sheikh Mubaje appealed to the President to fasten the enactment of the anti-gay bill.
As Muslims, as religious leaders of different faiths, as human beings who know what is good and what is bad, we are eagerly waiting for His Excellency to sign that law. Otherwise, we are worried that Shaitan might be working around the clock to fail that law being signed into operation. It is our request that His Excellency answers the pleas and the prayers that he signs that bill into law.
Mubaje also took a swipe at the conflicting parties in the ongoing crisis in Sudan, urging them to resolve the conflict and avoid bloodshed.
We are deeply saddened and embarrassed by the situation which is taking place in the Sudan, in Khartoum. Muslim brothers who say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah are the ones killing each other. As we talk now, the whole city or more cities are in smoke. Bodies are falling. People are dying. They are not performing Eid as we are doing. It is very bad.
Muslims were also urged to fast the 6 days of Sitatil in order to complete Ramadan in the right way.
We have started the month of Shawwal with the Eid al-Fitr prayers. We shall also fast 6 days of this month as recommended by our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And we prepare, if we have ability and capacity, to go in Makkah and fulfill the obligatory and fulfill the 5 pillars of Islam.
Congregants expressed their joy towards successful completion of the holy month of Ramadan.
And Alhamdulillah, we have benefited a lot from it. And may Allah reward us abundantly from the ibadat we have done.
You know, as this economy was, it was just so simple. Yeah, Allah has helped us and passed through the Saul. Inshallah.
They can give to the Muslims out there and see. They should always fast, they should always pray to Allah that they should get more blessings, I mean.
Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Well, thank you, Sadam Mobali, for the story, and as well to you, congratulations for going through the Saum period. Now, relatedly on the same conversation, the Pakistani community in Uganda has been urged to continue fostering unity and togetherness even after the holy month of Ramadan. This message was delivered by the Pakistani ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Wazir Ahmed, in his Eid message to the believers in Kampala. Ambassador Ahmed emphasized the importance of cooperation between Pakistanis and Ugandans, noting that such collaboration would lead to stronger and more prosperous communities. He also expressed his gratitude to the Ugandan government and the people for the warm welcome extended to Pakistanis living in the country.
The message to the Pakistani people is that they should be happy with their Ugandan friends. They as always they do, contribute to the people in this land as they are the citizens, equal citizens of this country. So I think our people are contributing to the benefit and the well-being of this great country.
I'd like to wish all the Ugandans happy Eid, and at large all the Muslims around the world very happy Eid, and we deliver the message of peace. We would love to see the peace around the world, to see around the world wherever there are conflicts and wars, would wish to see peace, and we would wish everyone happy Eid. Thank you.
First of all, we thank to Allah for completing us our Ramadanul Mubarak, which has been completed yesterday by the grace of Almighty Allah. And I wish a very happy and prosperity in this Eidul Fitr to all the Muslim community.
Congratulations once again to the Muslim brothers out there and the sisters for completing the Saum season. And of course, relatedly on that very conversation, more highlights will be coming your later on the timely news hours of the day, since our reporters on ground are visiting most of the areas and the different worship areas. Now, in other updates this Friday, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has met with His Excellency Jean Sadek, the ambassador and the head of the European Union delegation to Uganda, with whom they held a dialogue on the EU programs and possible areas of cooperation.
The EU ambassador, accompanied by the head of cooperation, Karin Aldrensen, paid a courtesy call on the First Lady at State House Nakasero. The EU envoys updated the First Lady on the various areas that the EU and government of Uganda are cooperating in, and the 3 priorities that have been defined for collaboration in the coming 7 years. Mrs. Museveni expressed the need for more comprehension of the current programs that the Ministry of Education and Sports and the EU can cooperate in.
I think we need to really pick up on our cooperation. I believe we could do a lot more together if we can learn about what areas we can cooperate in. It would help to focus on what we can do together and do it well. I know we could learn ever so much about what you do and your methods of work that sustain what you do. And it would help us to really do a good job on whatever we set ourselves to do.
She talked about her desire to introduce an identification system in Uganda's education sector, similar to the Swedish identification number system, where everyone has a unique number throughout life, right from birth. She urged that this will help bring some discipline in the education system, because if every learner had a unique number, it would be easy to track data pertaining to individuals, especially in the examination process.
If there is any way we can benefit from the Swedish system, really, to help our national identity system, I would be so grateful. And I specifically wanted to start with the education system, because it helps with examination and to track all the data.
The minister also pointed out the challenge of availing sanitary towels for the girl child and said she is looking for funding to enable the production of sanitary towels on a large scale and which will be easily accessed by the young girls. Mrs. Museveni drew attention to the commendable work that the EU funded in Karamoja region under the Peace Recovery and Development Plan for northern Uganda during the time she was the Minister for Karamoja Affairs. This, she said, included construction of police stations and drilling of dams for water for animals, among others. According to Ambassador Jean Sadek, 3 main priorities of the EU program defined for collaboration in Uganda for the coming 7 years are green transition, jobs and growth, and governance matters. He acknowledged Uganda's generosity to refugees and said that the refugee response is an important aspect of the EU and Government of Uganda relationship. He reported that together with other ambassadors from the EU partner states, visited Kisoro district in February and witnessed the challenge of the refugee influx in the country, and they have stepped up their funding to the refugee response.
We also very much acknowledge the Ugandan generosity in terms of refugees. So you're taking from South Sudan, from DRC. So I would say that the refugee response is a very important aspect of the EU-Uganda relationship that we think we are, taking seriously the matter and also making available funding for UNHCR and for the Ugandan response.
Reporting for UBC, Bakma William.
Uganda's education system is aiming to produce graduates with skills that are competitive on the labor market. This is according to Alfred Chaka, the Assistant Commissioner of Secondary Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports. Chaka made the remarks while speaking to students and teachers at Chebambe Girls Secondary School, that is in Muganga, Fort Portal City.
Uganda's education system is targeting to produce graduates with skills that are competitive. In his remarks to students and teachers of Chebambe Girls Secondary School in Fort Portal City, the Assistant Commissioner Secondary Alfred Chaka says students completing the lower secondary curriculum will be employable.
This curriculum was introduced to address and to provide employable skills to the senior 4 graduates as they finish the lower secondary, and also to be able to demonstrate what competences or abilities they have acquired through the 4 years of lower secondary.
The Directorate of Industrial Training is sensitizing and inspecting the preparedness of the curriculum that is meant to equip learners with employable skills so that they can start up income-generating activities when out of school.
These students of ours who are now the champions of this new innovation are very lucky, majorly because at the end of the 4 years, they will be showing to the world, 1, the competences they have acquired, the skills they have attained, and what they can actually do. But at the same time, they will also be demonstrating to the world what they have attained academically.
The Principal Qualifications Officer in charge of assessment and certification, Johnson Turiamusimira, says online registration of candidates is ongoing. All universal secondary education candidates are exempted from paying registration and assessment fees.
I appeal to all the secondary schools in this country to register all their students in Senior 3, and our registration is online. They can contact DIT head office for support, and all students should be registered.
The head teacher, Chebambe Girls Secondary School, Girudu Esther, says the lower curriculum is more practical and user-friendly.
In their activities of integration, the children are coming up with projects that are solving societal or community problems. So the new secondary curriculum is actually addressing issues of day-to-day living. It is more user-friendly, both for the learner, now that the learner has more touch with the material than they used to have, because the new lower secondary curriculum is more learner-centered than it is teacher-centered. The teachers are only around as instructors.
8 vocational subjects for the start to be assessed by the Directorate of Industrial Training in November are agriculture, art and design, entrepreneurship, performing arts, nutrition and food technology, ICT, physical education, technology and design.
Agriculture helps us to know most of the skills, like as we came here, some of us never knew how to dig, but for now we know how to dig. And agriculture, it's a source of income. For example, when you grow your plants, as they mature, you sell them, whereby you get money.
We're clearing the banana plantation, and others are pruning, others are mulching, so that can be quick productivity. This mulching helps to control soil erosion. It controls the quick maturity of the weeds that will absorb some nutrients that are supposed to be for the banana. We like it because it is improving on our skills, whereby these things will be helping us in the future. And when we get unemployment in agriculture, it is very helpful.
Each student will sit for only one occupation according to competence.
Diseases, the increase in the spread of the uncommunicable diseases in this particular region.
The mood was somber. The emotions were high as grief overwhelmed friends, relatives and in-laws. It was a funeral service for 53-year-old Ruth Tino Ishagi, held at St. Luke Church of Uganda, Ntinda. To the concern of the chief mourner, the wife to Stanislaus Ishagi, a prominent businessman in the Eastern District of Kumi, succumbed to cancer.
The biggest and fastest way for you to activate and accelerate cancer and all these non-communicable diseases is and will be and continues to remain sugar and salt. Ejijimbo, but I want you to understand, try as much as possible to avoid some of these areas.
Unfortunate as it may have been, the funeral service provided a platform for leaders to preach unity despite their political differences.
If we put this into cohesion, and unite our community, I think that politics, we put that aside. But for the good of the community, I really urge our people, our leaders, to come together.
What we all need to do is to put aside our political differences and come together. And so if this happens, then there is going to be a great chance for us to keep together.
As clocks wound towards the end of the service, believers were encouraged to work for eternity. Vicar Captain David Serunjoji was the preacher of the day.
There isn't any shortcut to heaven other than going through our Lord Jesus Christ. Heaven has no flukas. Jesus is the only way, is the way, the truth, and the life.
As the casket was wheeled out of the church for payment of last respects, the deceased to many leaves a great gap in the development of Teso.
One who loved people, loved her work, loved her country, and loved her family.
Ruth Dinatino Ishagi will be laid to rest in the Teso district of Kumi in eastern Uganda on Saturday. Henry Okurut, UBC.
UBC Lunchtime News. 9 more updates. South Sudanese government says fighting in Khartoum is disrupting air transport in South Sudan. A large part of South Sudanese airspace is still controlled from Khartoum.
And the flights affected include those of Turkish Airlines, Egypt Air, and Fly Dubai. South Sudan attained independence from Sudan in 2011, but the two countries still share many resources.
South Sudan aired the upper airspace, that is 250, the upper airspace. Our airspace was still being managed by Sudan because the radar, we are working on ATM. The air traffic control, we are being helped by our brothers from China. They have done some excellent work. One of the contractors has almost finished. So the lower airspace, 245, is approachable. So flight coming, there are two routes. The route approaching from Upper Nile, meaning from Malakal, that is, you are coming from Sudan, their route is affected. There is also a route coming from Eritrea, as you crossed western Ethiopia, their route is also affected.
South Sudan's government says it is working closely with those affected airlines to reroute flights. It says that will lead to an increase in ticketing fares. South Sudan's government says regional airlines such as Ugandan Airlines, Kenya Airways, and Rwanda Air are still easily accessing Juba International Airport. Patrick Oyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.
Talk with freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, under the auspices of the East African Community, will host the 10th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition 2023 from the 9th to the 11th of May 2023 at the Kampala Serena Hotel in Uganda. Take full advantage of the investment opportunities in the East African region's vibrant oil and gas sector. To find out more on how to sponsor, exhibit, or attend the 10th EAPCE 23, visit www.eapce23.eac.int.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *100*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *100*10#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *100*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching and following. Now, straight into other updates from Uganda. As the sun rose over Lira, a sense of excitement and anticipation filled the air as the Muslims gathered at the Eid Amin Mosque to celebrate Eid al-Fitr. Dressed in their finest clothes and wearing broad smiles, the faithful exchanged warm greetings and well wishes while children played and laughed together. The district card Nangoye delivered a heartfelt sermon reminding the congregation of the importance of unity in these trying times. He urged his fellow Muslims to remain steadfast in their faith and also continue supporting one another, especially in the face of recent events that had shaken their community.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش ولك الحمد.
As they are gone, Mzee Juma pia kwa nukutuba yule ya kwanza. Alafu ya pili huyu
Moving on, the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, in partnership with the International University of East Africa, will hold the first annual Oil and Gas Skills Expo on the 28th and 29th April 2023 at the IUEA campus in Kampala. The expo is aimed at bringing together key players in the oil and gas industry to share information on training opportunities, employment and career growth. It will provide a platform for stakeholders to engage and exchange ideas on the latest developments and trends in the sector. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda believes that the expo will create awareness of the available opportunities for skills development to help bridge the skills gap in the industry.
As Uganda enters its oil exploration stage, scaling and identifying talent in oil and gas sector has become even more urgent. Petroleum Authority of Uganda, in conjunction with the International University of East Africa, has organized a two-day expo at IUEA campus on the 28th and 29th April 2023.
Which is bringing together employers in oil and gas, and that is the international oil companies, the contractors and the subcontractors, the hiring companies, the HR companies, and then the oil and gas trainers.
Chancellor of IUEA, Professor Emeka Akauzuo, says the university is honored to host the first expo. The university is committed to working closely with the Petroleum Authority and other stakeholders to skill citizens in oil and gas.
How important it is to employment in the country and how important it is for skilling people so that they can work efficiently and professionally in the oil and gas industry.
According to Professor Akauzuo, the university has a well-equipped faculty to cater for the needs of the students pursuing courses in oil and gas.
We have a petroleum faculty in the Faculty of Engineering, and for those who are present who want to take a look, the Dean is here. We can make that possible. We also have science and technology where we do software. So it's a whole, whatever the sector needs, we will be willing and able to provide.
The government has invested heavily in the oil and gas sector. The expo is a welcome initiative that should add to the gains in the sector.
And I am happy that this expo that is about to come is also going to give opportunities for our students to interact with the different partners and different organizations where they can be able to understand where they can do internship. And I want to tell you, our institution have been looking for where to place our students for internship. And this is a great opportunity for our students.
Other participants in the expo will include East African Crude Oil Pipeline, UNOC, the Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Uganda, among others. Ali Kamlegea Asaba and Joel Vubia.
In more news this afternoon, as we still continue to bring you celebrations going through as far as the Muslim brethren are concerned. Now, last evening, over 85 orphans from Ibn Abbas Nursery and a primary orphanage school were treated to an iftar dinner in the spirit of the Eid festivities. The kind-hearted gesture was aimed at showing love and support to the orphans and encouraging them to remain strong and brave in school. The event was graced by a team from GS GSM 5G, led by Hajat Amina, who generously distributed food items, including who distributed so many assorted food items to the orphans. The children were overjoyed and expressed their gratitude to the kind donors for their generosity and love.
Last days of Ramadan, which we call Laylatul Qadr, they are days of forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, and now we decide to give iftar to this the last school. And it's not the first time, by the way. My husband has been doing so. So today I decided to come with my girls so that we can break the iftar for them. As always, Muslims, we do it in every place, those who can manage. So we expect reward, obviously. Tomorrow is Eid, we're going to enjoy it, celebrate. In short, that's it. We don't need to be in the media to show what we do, but that's what we normally do as Muslims.
We are grateful to Brother Ali. This is not the first time he's coming here to give us help. We are very grateful to him for sharing with us, because he knows that we really need this help. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, more regional updates. Earlier on, we took you to South Sudan in as far as the air transport issues are concerned. Now, more from that particular area, the situation in Sudan has left residents reeling from its effects. Reports coming out of the country indicate that people are experiencing a shortage of power and water. Many others have closed down their businesses, while the remaining traders have been accused of monopolizing commodities.
But a journalist residing in the East Nile region, for the 5th day in a row, the pace of escalating events continued. Clashes between the army and the rapid support forces in Khartoum left a negative number of incidents in Khartoum. There have been renewed crises in energy and water services in homes, in addition to the power outage since Saturday, which lasted for 2 and 3 consecutive days. In addition, there are neighborhoods whose residents do not have these services in hot weather, with fasting, which affected those who fast. The humanitarian situation is also very difficult in the markets. Most of the shops have closed their doors, as well as bakeries, and even those that open their doors, there's a rise in consumer goods. A number of citizen consumers accuse merchants of monopolizing some commodities and storing them to generate money and profits, and they believe that the merchants did not take into account the citizens' conditions in the current conditions. Water crises have extended to a number of neighborhoods in the neighborhood in which I live, and around it there is a continuous outage of the water network, and a number of neighborhoods suffer as well as houses. Some neighborhoods also relied on 2 or 1 house to collect their water needs. Citizens suffer from current electricity crises. Citizens also suffer from electricity crises. There are patients who have life-saving medicines that need to be refrigerated. Hospitals are also in a very difficult condition due to the number of injured people. There are also a number of injured people who were unable to reach these hospitals. Even the ambulance teams were unable to evacuate them due to the continuing clashes in the streets. Also, a number of houses were bombed, and a number of children and women were injured. Yesterday, a shell fell in a house near us, as a result of which 3 young children died. 2 of them are brothers. It is very unfortunate that a number of houses were destroyed as a result of the continuous beatings. A number of people were injured, and in parallel, economic crises are increasing in light of difficult living conditions. Most people depend on daily marginal employment. Their business stopped completely after the markets were closed, and they need money to spend on themselves and their families. Numerous humanitarian crises, electricity and water crises, and a very difficult humanitarian situation experienced by the citizens in Sudan. Even we have here in the neighborhood in which I lived, and next to it. We hope that the 2 parties will listen to the voice.
More international updates coming your way. Africa's slow and patchy internet may soon be a thing of the past. With the arrival of Google's Equiano C cable, the 15,000-kilometer cable offers express connectivity from Lisbon in Portugal all the way to Cape Town in South Africa, making it the fastest digital route between the continents.
Arrived in Cape Town. The cable stretches 15,000 kilometers from Europe down the west coast of Africa with landing stations in Togo, Nigeria, Namibia and South Africa.
The Equiano cable is the biggest cable ever to connect the west coast of Africa, or in fact the entire sub-Saharan Africa, to the global internet. It's got a capacity of 144 terabits per second. To put that in context, the previous biggest cable was the West Africa cable system, which has got a 12.5 to 14 terabit per second capacities.
The initiative is part of Google's $1 billion commitment to expand Africa's digital ecosystem and bring more people online on the world's least connected continent.
Will sort of ignite Africa into the digital age and sort of increase and sort of help the continent to fight some of the sort of challenges that are faced, such as job sort of creation. We expect 180,000 or so jobs within the next 5 years to be created by this investment that we've made.
Equiano brings the promise of cheaper, faster, reliable internet with better services. It could also add $5.8 billion to South Africa's GDP alone.
So what we also expected to do is to accelerate digital transformation and economic growth on the continent as well as in South Africa, but also to increase sort of the global ecosystem, internet global ecosystem, as then it will allow other sort of partners to connect into the cable.
Data infrastructure company Seacom, which runs its own cable on the east coast of Africa, is one of those partners.
This gives us the ability to work seamlessly online. So you're not constrained by what you could do previously. Whether you're setting up a business at home, an online business that allows you to trade anywhere in the world, you have the reliability from this cable and all the other cables that come on board. So it increases reliability on your business.
So you're going to see a lot of different services, additional services, and more advanced services that meet specific needs of specific sectors. So the financial services sector, the telecom sector, and the like will all find themselves having bespoke solutions that meet their needs as opposed to having to accept this bulk supplied delivery from the global internet.
Equiano's arrival coincides with that of 24 Africa, backed by major investors such as China Mobile, MTN, Vodafone, and Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook. 24 Africa spans 45,000 kilometers with high-speed links to Europe and the Middle East. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
More updates on the international scene. Kenyan President William Ruto says the deteriorating situation in South Sudan is of great concern to the East African region and the continent at large. In the last 5 days, fighting has led to the loss of hundreds of lives, massive destruction of property, and the displacement of civilians.
Kenya is deeply alarmed that a misunderstanding over a single outstanding item in the political framework agreement, namely the time frame for the integration of the rapid support forces into the Sudan Armed Forces, has degenerated into violent conflict. As a result, the parties to the framework agreement have been engaged in military confrontation. The indiscriminate deployment of lethal power and air power by both RSF and SAF has targeted military and non-military targets, causing devastating damage to property as well as strategic public infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and airports. The United Nations, Africa Union, IGAD, and all the other stakeholders for the Sudan must lead a process that extends beyond mere cessation of hostilities towards the restoration of sustainable peace, security, and stability.
Well, those are some of the updates from us to you for this particular hour. Keep watching the National Broadcaster for more updates coming your way this lovely Friday, the 21st of April 2023. My name is Sandra Kahunde, and from the entire team behind the scene, we wish you a beautiful Friday and, of course, happy Eid al-Fitr.